He's bound to do good, you know. I mean, what's the percentage of not doing good? If it's in the right way, it's the right place. Yeah, that's what I'm
I look forward to hiring the same guys, at least, or they give me the new lead of the same guys, so I don't have to.
Makes sense. Yeah, Nate and I have been.
If you do a half-hour show, then while you're talking, there'll be a lot of different stuff with Carlson. So we need to talk about that. We need to do some more because Carlson is the country growth is really great here. So Jeffrey Freund, right? Freund, German Freund. At the AAHOA Regional in Savannah, Georgia, we're proud to have with us the old president of AAHOA, Fred Schwartz, who is with Carlson Residor right now, and Jeffrey Freund with Carlson Group as well. Fred, tell us a little bit about Carlson.
Sure. Well, first, it's great to be back at AAHOA after 18 years with AAHOA and to be at this trade show. Very exciting. So Carlson's a family-owned business, family-run business. It's a $38 billion hotel company with 1,300 hotels across 7 brands in 105 countries. So it's a very strong company with great support for the franchisees.
Name the brands. You have 7, you said?
7 brands. So we have a soft brand, Corvus, Country Inn and Suites, which everyone knows. We just recently launched Radisson Red, which is our upscale lifestyle select brand. We've got the core Radisson brand. We've got a Radisson Blue, which is our upscale brand, which is a phenomenal brand. We've got Park Plaza and Park Inns.
Very good. And Jeffrey, you mentioned you take charge with the Country Inns and Park Inns. Give us their growth in the U.S. first of all.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here. And this is my first AAHOA meeting, so I'm very excited. Today, Country Inn & Suites has almost 500 hotels throughout North America, and really our focus is growth for Country Inn & Suites throughout, and we're hoping in the near future to get it up to about 1,500 hotels.
In a quick scenario, the growth in India for Country especially.
Country in India has been wonderful. Our CEO there, Raj Rana, who used to be in the States, has done an incredible job growing the Country Inn & Suites brand and really making it a staple of India.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Thank you.
Okay, we're rolling.
And you will be mostly looking here, looking there.
Looking at the camera.
More. You can look here, but more at the camera. 2 shot?
2 shots.
We have with us Jay Patel, the regional director here with a lot of people in Savannah. Jay, tell us a little bit about this regional, how many vendor booths and how many members attending today?
Well, we're happy to have the regional meeting here. We have over 150 members here, possibly more as the evening goes on. We have about 70 to 80 vendors here who are very happy to come to Savannah. Everybody's always happy to come here, so it's an easy sell.
And you move your regionals at Savannah one time, a different place another time. How do the members like that?
Well, I have a large region, so the people that are on the coast here, so they come to the Savannah one. People in Alabama, I have it in Birmingham, so they'll reach out to me over there.
Very good, Jay. Jay, the main issue here is the $5 tax on hotel rooms. That would hurt small hoteliers, but I think the big franchisors are not so much worried about. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
The $5 tax that was introduced July 1st by Georgia Assembly is a hot topic amongst the hoteliers in the Georgia region. Hoteliers are very concerned that it's going to impact their sales. Just when business is picking up, it's going to impact them, and people are going to go to neighboring states to stay there to save the money. We have a lot of turnout here today because we're going to have a legislative panel that we're going to discuss this and trying to come up with some solutions that we can offer them.
And does the independence, does it affect them?
Absolutely. It affects the independents because they have the lower end price points. So when you charge $5 on a, say, $30, $40 room rate, that translates to about 25 to 30%.
In a flash, what will AAHOA do to fight this?
AAHOA has been extremely active from the moment this was introduced. We've started campaigning, we've hired a lobbyist, we've had a lot of meetings with the legislative people here in Savannah, and hopefully amongst us we'll be able to come up with a solution.
Very good. Thank you, Jay, and good luck.
Thanks.
Where were you again? I just told him. We have with us Cal Patel in Savannah, Georgia, at the regional here. Cal's a seasoned hotelier. He looks young, but he's a seasoned hotelier. Cal, this issue of a $5 hotel tax, they call it a fee in Georgia. How is that affecting hoteliers?
It just started recently on 1st of July. We won't know the repercussions of this tax fee probably until a year from now, but my assumption is the interstate properties and the smaller properties will have a larger effect. Our borders will have a larger effect because as travel patterns continue and you have repeat travel from the same people, they will know to cross the border and save $5 per room per night.
So we had a panel here today and some legislators here too. Do you think that if they sponsor a bill, if they sponsor a bill on this, that it may change things?
That's the whole thing. The rhetoric is when Congress gets back into session next year is to work it more in our favor to where it's lucrative for people to stay in Georgia.
How can this happen overnight? They just said in July we're going to start doing this. Is this normal in Georgia?
It's very abnormal. Unfortunately, the hotel industry did not know. It happened at the 11th hour, and we were caught, and there was no time for us to respond. None of our peer groups, AAHOA, GHNLA, HNLA, nobody knew.
And when $5 per room per night is bad, you think a little percentage, if they worked in a percentage basis, would it be better?
I personally think a percentage would be a lot better from a consumer standpoint.
Very good, great, and good luck. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the Southeast Regional Ambassadors with us, and we have Chris Patel, who's going to tell us a little bit about the new initiative that AAHOA's got on the ambassadors. Chris will talk about that, and Dean Deepak Patel is going to tell us about the seminar we had today on hotel tax. Chris, first of all, they nominated you as the prize winner for this new initiative. How do you feel?
I feel excited. I feel like it's a great way to keep ambassadors motivated, more participation. Yeah, we have regional directors, but our region is pretty big. There are a lot of members, so communicating through that one person can be challenging. So I think it's great that we have a group of ambassadors that other people, other members can reach out to other than just the regional director.
Perfect. And Dean, what do you take from this hotel tax seminar? You asked, of course, the politician the question that if he sponsors a bill, how they can change that. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, we had a great panel discussions. We had a tourism council leader over here, also Ron Stevenson, our representative from our area, and one thing we discussed, and everybody know in Georgia that hospital industry is facing this $5 tax increase, and it's going to be burden for the whole industry. And he has agreed, when I asked him the question whether he will sponsor the bill or not, and he agreed to do that graciously and help us fight this for the next legislative session.
And any feedback from your members about this? Are people complaining?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody is, pretty much everybody I talk to in the hotel industry, they are not happy with this $5 tax because it's going to put again the burden on the all the travelers, guests who comes and visit with us and stay at our hotel. And what happened is $5 is too much for property that is smaller and paying about $40 rate. $5 becomes like a 20% total tax, and it's not fair tax. So it's great that we have Ron Stevenson over here talk to us about this and how we can challenge and change that.
Very good. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, Ron, you did good. He was-
Introduce themselves, I think you probably know this already. So, plus I have, so we'll begin with Chirag.
Thank you, Robert. As many of you know, Robert is the senior advisor at AAHOA, and he's one of the integral members of the AAHOA family, and so he's somewhat new to the family, so if you haven't had a chance to meet him, please do. He'll be your best friend with AAHOA, after Alyssa, of course. So thank you all very much for coming out to the regional conference here in Savannah, and especially for those of you who've taken time from your hotels, from your jobs, to come out and spend time at the trade show. And thank you also to our vendors who have come out to show support as well. My name is Chirag Shah, for those of you who don't know me, but it's so great to see so many familiar faces here. I'm AAHOA's Vice President for Government Affairs. I have the pleasure of running our office in Washington, D.C., and working on our advocacy priorities. And as many of you know very well, the $5 tax or $5 fee here in Georgia is one of the most important things that has come about with the AAHOA world over the past 25 years. And so we've spent a considerable amount of time and effort and resources to come down and see how we can help the community here in Savannah and the community across Georgia. It's great to see, again, many familiar faces, because we came down a couple months ago. In addition to having several town halls across the state and hearing the voices of hoteliers express concerns about the issue, I also had the opportunity to spend time with a lot of hoteliers in this room and go around the city of Savannah and the surrounding parts and talk to your elected officials and your elected representatives. And that's one of the things I'd like to talk with you about today. As AAHOA continues to grow as an association, but also as a community, it is very important that we start spending time with our elected officials. Now, we all know here in the industry that you spend time working with your vendors, working with your brands and other folks throughout the year. You have consistent meetings, and you have the opportunity to speak with them on a consistent basis. They know you, and you know them. When this tax was passed and was signed into law, rightfully so, there were hoteliers across the country that were very upset with how this happened. But one of the things that we did not do as a community was that we didn't set our relationships in order beforehand. And that's why it is very important that we start to do so now. We need to make sure that we take the opportunity to get to know elected officials from the State House, from the State Senate, your city councils, your mayors throughout the state of Georgia, but particularly in this area. Because what's going to end up happening is once you have the opportunity to meet with them and show your face, place a face with your story, and tell them a little bit about your properties. Tell them about which properties you own, where they are, how many people you employ, how many guests you have every year. Then you build a rapport. You build a strong relationship with those folks. And when those folks have a question, they're going to pick up the phone and call you as a strong leader in the community and as a business owner, as an employer. One of the things that we've heard time and again from legislators is, we understand that the process that this went through was rough, and we know that it's going to be rough on the tourism and hospitality community across the state, but we never heard from our constituents. We never heard from the hoteliers in the community, and that should stop now, because we need to make sure that as an AAHOA community, as hoteliers, as business leaders, and leaders in the community, we start to establish those relationships. And what I will leave a thought with here is, with the AAHOA Government Affairs Office, many of you have come to Washington, D.C., you've come with us to Capitol Hill to meet with your elected officials in D.C., the federal elected officials. But now we've started to come down to the state level, the local level, and anytime you'd like to spend time and get to know your local officials, all you need to do is give me a call or send me an email at chirag@ahoa.com. We'll set up the meetings. We'll come down with you to introduce you to your local officials, and then you can establish those relationships yourselves. But it is of the most paramount importance that we start to lead not only in the community, but also with our elected officials. And so I'll turn it over now to Michael to share a little bit of thoughts from his perspective, especially here locally.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Owens. I'm President and CEO of the Tourism Leadership Council. We're the largest nonprofit trade organization that represents the tourism industry in the Savannah area. We represent a little over 10,000 individuals working in the tourism industry here in Savannah. That landscape for Savannah is a $2.4 billion annual industry. It employs 26,500 people, so it's about 1 in 7 jobs in the Savannah area. We represent not only hotels and motels, we represent restaurants, attorneys, printers, everyone who's touched by a very large industry here. There's little doubt that what the $5 fee represents to our industry in this town and in our lodging establishments throughout the state is the largest, essentially, tax increase that in Georgia's history on our industry. It's no question that everyone's upset, and rightfully so, particularly with the way it happened. What it also represents is opportunity. And that's what we've got to focus on now. We've got opportunity in the next legislative session and the sessions to come forward. I think there's very little hope to repeal the taxes as a whole. I think tourism and hospitality, we do have to pay into transportation needs. There is hope that it could be reduced by some measure, but a repeal, I think, is very unlikely. The greater opportunity, and the opportunity that we all have to realize, is there is a great chasm of industry voice in this state. The fact of the matter is the TLC, the Tourism Leadership Council, will not be an effective advocate for this fee by itself. Neither will AAHOA. Neither will GHLA. The fact of the matter is all of our organizations have got to come together and create a singular voice for the entire industry that the people under the Gold Dome recognize. So while our individual organizations are absolutely imperative to our culture, to our businesses, and to our community, we've also got to understand that there are larger risks when we have fractured voice. So we've made great progress with AAHOA, with the GACVB in talking together really from the moment this began, and we think that there's a great possibility moving forward for all of us to work collectively. So we've got to understand that we've got a large pyramid of needs. And they are at the property level, they're at your city level, they're at your county level, and now very, very clearly they're at the state level. So we've all got to come together and put the egos aside. That'll be rough for me. We'll put the egos aside and work together to represent the lodging industry.
2 microphones at once. I'm Ron Stevens. I'm the state representative for this area in Savannah. For those of you that aren't from around here and you look outside, you see an enormous amount of commerce going up and down the river, and it's exploding on a daily basis. That's a big deal, but the bigger deal is that tourism in Savannah, Georgia is even bigger than ports. So if we've had a problem in our past, it's that we don't do a very good job telling our story. And if we do tell our story, it's fractious. I've been known locally, for those of you that are in Savannah, for probably the biggest thing that I worked on, and that was about 20 years ago, was Stevens Day to freeze property taxes for homeowners so they're not taxed out of their home. The next thing that I'm known for, thank you, the next thing that I'm known for is the film industry. We were out of the film industry in 2008, and I jumped out there and decided that we needed to incentivize that business to take us places that we'd never been before. We were at a $200 million a year business. This year we're going to hit $6 billion with a B. Jobs that are exploding like we've never seen, and this year we'll do more films than the state of California, if you can believe that. So if you dream high, you can do it. And of course, most of these people that are doing these films, and I know it's a traffic problem, they're staying in your hotels. And they're staying in your hotels long term until they get these films done. That's economic opportunity for your cities and your counties, your tax base. And that's, again, it's a pretty big deal. Really needed your help in the past on some of the 2 issues that I worked on your behalf to try to put heads in bed, so to speak. A few years ago, after not 1 veto, not 2 vetoes, but 3 vetoes by the governor, I was working on something on your behalf was a tax incentive policy that for tourism. We don't have, up until that time, we didn't have a single tax incentive to build a major tourism destination in the state of Georgia. Didn't exist. Other states have done it, so we copied Kentucky, finally got it here and got it massaged enough. That took 5 years of work, and it would have been, I think, a lot smoother had everybody go where I think this organization's going, and in a cohesive voice. We needed that tourism destination product to make sure that we could put heads in bed, so to speak, and make sure that we could sustain your business. And we got that passed. The governor signed it. It's now law. The idea was to get major products like Disney World and those kind of things here that all of us benefit from. 2 years ago, I started on a different approach to try to get even more local participation with a sports marketing bill. For those of you locally, you know, we used to have Legends Golf over here and other things that made your industry strong. We now have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you can't find a hotel within probably 50 miles whenever that's going on. Not one single hotel room, because it's that explosive. Well, you've got to go out and you've got to market this stuff, and you've got to bid on these opportunities. Well, this bill did that. It didn't get through the House and Senate last year. It got through the House and Senate this year, got on the governor's desk, and in the last week was vetoed. And whenever we finally get a cohesive voice, and your calls to the man that signs or vetoes these bills is going to make the difference. That one bill alone would have allowed your cities with their tourism marketing budget in your area to go out and market to bring these venues here. And you don't have to pay it back. We know that the formula that we put together is going to generate the tax dollars to repay it all, to go so that you've got an ability to go out and get these events. I'm going to try it again. As you know, if you for those of you that know me, I don't quit. So we're going to give it another shot. So I'm going to be leaning on you whenever we get to that point. Once we massage the bill to get it into law, we're going to have to get some calls from you guys into the governor's office to make this work, so that every single corner of this state has an opportunity to get some of these venues that'll fill heads in beds and again generate revenue. Let me talk just a little bit about the bill. Most of the bill that was worked on for many, many months, the transportation bill, we were looking for $1 billion, and that was just to keep us where we were. We've had to close a lot of our bridges in the state. You can go down some of these that they closed and put 2 hands down in there, and they were about to fall. As an elected official, I don't think anybody here wanted to see that happen. So we knew the number we had to get to. And I can tell you, I didn't know that the $5 fee was even considered until I woke up the next morning and had to vote on it. And the way the process works is you go through all of the mechanics of how the bill's going to work. We passed it out of the House. You weren't in there when it left the House. It passed out of the Senate. You weren't in there when it passed out of the Senate. But they create something called a conference committee. And that conference committee, whenever it's presented to both the House and the Senate, is an up or down vote. There's no change. You accept what it is, or you vote it down. And let me tell you what I would have voted against in that conference committee. Up until we voted on that particular piece of legislation, you and the taxpayers of this state were subsidizing electric cars. You were paying for it with a tax refund. And that's okay for an industry that you need to stimulate. In addition to that, we were doing a double whammy because they weren't paying the excise tax or sales tax on fuel. So not only were you paying out of your pockets through for those of you that drive an electric car, I'm sorry, because now you're going to pay $200 a year for an individual. If you're a company that uses an electric car, you're going to pay $3. So you're going to pay what we think is what you typically pay in a tax every year to ride on the road. So I consider that a fee. That's the approach that we tried to go about most of the bill, and it's difficult. Rather than coming along with a tax increase. We eliminated the sales tax on fuel by and large. We still allow the local governments, and that was one of the pieces. It was just going to be gone. The locals screamed, so we allowed them to continue their loss, SPLOST, and education loss up to a point of $3 a gallon. But we did raise the gas tax. By the time you do the conversion, we figured about 3 cents per gallon. Sales tax is of excise tax is equal to a cent of sales tax on the current rate of the fuel. And of course, fuel continues to go down. And I promise you, even though we raised the gas tax in the state, I haven't seen one call from anybody because the price of fuel is going down. So I haven't got any complaints, and I don't know if you've heard that from anybody, but now the general public doesn't even know that there was a tax increase.